Howdy, folks. Tony Rosales here, also joined by Kevin Leatherbarrow here with the Undercurrent. I know we've posted a couple of things when we were first starting this podcast or recording sessions, and it sort of evolved a little bit since we first started. But because of our recent endeavor with the Cascade Effect and following the story of Mike Hansen and him being shot by a Cascade County Sheriff's deputy. We've ended up getting a lot of stories from folks in the community about various injustices that they've faced, particularly in Cascade County and Great Falls, but even a few just broader of Montana as well. So what Kevin and I wanted to do here with the Undercurrent was to reformat it to really focus on providing a venue or a way for people to get their stories out there. So the idea about what we're going to be doing from now on is people who've reached out to us, we're just going to be doing podcast style interviews with them and just get an idea about what their stories are. Do you think I've captured where this new direction that we're going towards, Kevin?
Yeah. It's been an interesting ride and trying to figure out all the technical part of it and kind of catalyst of the once we jumped off there with the Cascade Effect and all the inquiries that we've had. And we have lives too, so it's been really hard to put it all together and make sure that it's working. And I think we've got it licked.
Yeah. I think we're getting at a better place in terms of just how this all fits into our schedule, and hopefully this means that we can get people's stories out there to the rest of the community, so the community knows what's actually going on in our neighborhoods and in our town. So we got one or our first episode that we want to showcase, or story that we want to showcase, involves Katherine. And this is an interesting story. I would say this is probably something that got both Kevin and I. I mean, we had known each other first because we both had run for elections with the Libertarian Party. But I think it was this case that we both started delving into together, and we just identified a lot of wrongdoings that happened. And I would say this was probably the first case that really
opened our eyes.
And I don't think we even, opened our eyes, kind of got that initial urge to provide something like the Undercurrent or like the Cascade Effect to be able to showcase these stories more. And I think this is a good one. So just some basic details from this, because this is just going to be like a little introduction, and then we'll get into the actual interview with Katherine here in a moment. But her case all stems from an earlier case. We're not going to get into too much detail there, but just as that case was being settled, or there was a sentencing there, Katherine had come forward with some additional and not really evidence. It was really more of a conversation that she had with another person at a bar. And Katherine wasn't even involved in that original case, but because she wanted to speak up and provide what she thought was some additional context to that original case, she ended up being brought through the ringer of the Cascade County Sheriff's Department, where they seized her phone without a warrant, and then eventually brought up 25 felony charges against her. Again, all for not really being involved in the original case. I mean, that case was settled, and even after this incident with Katherine, nothing changed in that original case at all. So I think it's just a good story to tell that demonstrates, and we had an interesting line here when we were first looking at this, that it's a sad day when our sheriff's office is more interested in convictions rather than the truth. And I think that's pretty right here. What do you think, Kevin?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Because we heard from the lawyers, we've heard from others involved in this case as well, and we'll get into more details further on down the line from this. And they were just baffled at what this turned into. And I was baffled because this was, again, one of our first cases that we were kind of looking at, and the eyes and the lens of what media is saying and what is really happening are two totally different things, because we have multiple Fourth Amendment violations in this. no warrants for phones, going to businesses, things of that nature to do some pretty weird stuff. And it was definitely eye opening. And so here we are, and we've been working on it now. I don't know how long. Again, just about as much as Mike's case.
Yeah, well, I
and
mean, probably longer. So
yeah, probably
maybe 2
longer.
years now at this point, maybe even longer.
Yeah.
But I mean,
And
even to that point, there, like this case, which we won't get into the details at this interview, but it stems in some interesting ways afterwards as well, which hopefully we'll be highlighting those stories in some up and coming episodes as well.
Yeah, and I think it'll be it's one to watch and one to keep your eye on as we kind of dig into this and hear it right from the person that it happened to. And I think
Yeah,
it comes closer to home when people take the risk to expose themselves to the scrutiny that they're about to probably endure by bringing it public. And having them reach out to us is kind of an honor because they won't reach out to the news, and when they did, they were rejected. And so it's been humbling to follow this through and to build off of all of the things we learned.
For sure. And I think it just goes to demonstrate, I mean, there's a reason why we have Good Samaritan laws. There's a reason why we have whistleblowing laws or policies, because unfortunately, there's no good deed that doesn't go unpunished in some way, unfortunately.
And boy, did 26 felonies explains no deed goes unpunished.
Yeah.
Excessive, just excessiveness. It was brutal.
Yeah. But, so without further ado, let's get into the interview with Katherine.
All right. And
yes, so this part, I asked his attorney, like, why did they call me? He kept insisting it's after a trial. Everything I say is irrelevant. Just, I should say something good about my friend on the stand. And so I kept asking him, though, is there like some sort of statute that would have voided me as a witness? Like I couldn't be a witness for some reason. I just kind of wanted to know the legal backing, why I was never called. And he kept poo-pooing what I was saying about his ex having boasted about these things in the bar, saying it's just irrelevant. It's irrelevant now. It's irrelevant now. Fine. So my friend's mother and I, we sat down on the court bench in the main area outside the courtroom, and we were discussing an appellate attorney and what do we do. And it was like less than 10 minutes, almost 10 minutes. His attorney came rushing up to us, sweating, just breathing really hard, asking us, what did we say? What did we say? And we said, oh, it's okay. You know, you said it was irrelevant and we don't really care to talk about it because we're not trusting him at this moment, you know? And he basically badgered it out of us. Just say what you said again. And so I said, look, this is what we told you. This is what we've been telling you. And then he insisted, now is the only time anything can be done about it. It will not help him on appeal. It will not help him later. All these excuses, we had to do it now. Just tell him. So we basically told him again, hey, look, we were in a bar. My friend's ex said this, and she's admitting to having facilitated these false claims against him. It was during this time frame, late 2019, 2020. We were at the American Bar in Stockett. And then he said he was going to ask for a continuance. But during his time asking for a continuance in front of the judge, he threw my name out there without my permission. And that caused the detectives to basically pounce on me and want to investigate me. We now know that they had really no intention of ever investigating my friend's issues or the validity of my claims. And we'll probably get to that part as we go along with the story.
So wait a second. So this guy, this defense attorney, without your permission, written or otherwise, goes in there and throws you under the bus, right?
Correct.
So, I mean, in a high-profile case like this, right? Witnesses are number one to protect. Okay, that's nothing to mess around with. It's like, I know this because I have other experience in this, and they do not allow the witnesses' names to be, especially without, they protect them, especially defense would protect that. Like, no, we have a new witness, we have something else going on. We'll get back to you, Your Honor. We have some new evidence. Can we have a continuance? Why would somebody throw somebody's name in there and legitimately put them in harm's way and threat of retaliation from any other of the factions that are working within this?
Right,
that
that are
seems
hoping to prosecute my friend.
That seems a little nerve-wracking to me, where somebody would just jump out there and say, "Here's your name," and especially when you live in a small town, okay, and there should be repercussions for that. Witnesses should be protected no matter on what side it is, offense or defense.
Well, I think as long as they believe that the police officers are the ones that are doing the harassing or the investigating or whatever, that's considered protection. They can do anything they want because they have the color of law.
That's
so
interesting.
At that point, everyone came aware. Your attorney decided to go full force with this, but now the court system knew about this. The detectives knew about this. So what happened after that?
Well, I was unsuspecting when they asked, would you care to talk about this and document your experience with the detectives? Heck yes, I would. I mean, I think it's important. This should have come out way sooner. This should have come out darn near 3 years ago. And so we scheduled the time to meet on July 28th, I believe it was. And I met them in the morning, and our interview lasted 2 hours. And during this time, I started off with telling them the situation that had happened at the bar and what I was told in the bar. And my daughter, who had been there, she was a minor. My daughter, who had been there that same night in the bar, more preoccupied with her little puppy love boyfriend at the time. She didn't hear the same things I did, but she was there as a witness that night actually happened. And she knew my friend's ex personally, and so she could attest to my friend's ex's habits or how she is, stuff like that. And we had a little bit of an issue that I discussed with them, that after that dinner, my friend's ex had, posted a lot of negative things about me, untrue statements about me, saying that I was a bad, neglectful mother and all this other stuff online. And I had asked her to take it down. And I had a personal Facebook profile and a work profile at the time. And so when I couldn't see that post anymore with one, I checked it with the other, and I realized I could still see it. She had just blocked me from these lies that she was saying about me on social media. So I shared all this stuff with her. This seems to be a thing for my friend's ex, to make up these stories about people when she just doesn't like them. She has zero consequences for her action most of the time.
When was she posting these things about you? Was that in that 3-year time period, or was that after you came forward and you started discussing this with the detectives?
It was in the 3-year time period.
Okay.
It was actually during prom time, right after prom. She had bought my daughter's prom dress, and they took some really good pictures. My daughter looked absolutely beautiful. But after posting those pictures, in the same post, she says, and her mom wanted nothing to do with her. And she's like a very neglectful mom, just really things that you wouldn't want to see about yourself when you know they're not true.
And why did you even post that in the first place?
Right.
Why include that?
Yeah, for sure. So what happened then? You're in court, and what happens with that?
Yeah, especially in your interview. So in that interview, were you that typically when you read your rights?
Yeah, they started out with reading us our rights, and I said, am I being arrested? And they said, no, we just read rights to everyone, which they don't, because when we received the discovery for what I was charged with after that, nobody else had been read their rights whatsoever.
So then you go to this interview. Who called the interview?
Who called the interview?
Yeah, who wanted the interview? Who wanted to bring you in?
Detective Cadner and Try were present.
And no
so
other
they were
lawyers?
the ones leading the investigation.
Yes. And
no other
they
lawyers.
Well, okay, so my friend's attorney, Vanderhagen, was in the other room. There were two district attorneys, Quick and Comer, and allegedly an investigator was in the other room, but nobody's ever seen this guy. It was like supposed to be some private investigator for my friend's case, but nobody had ever seen him, not even my friend. Nobody had ever contacted me. You know, the private investigator had never contacted me. So of all the recordings that they submitted during discovery, we don't even hear of this person. So we don't really know if he was there or not. In some places they say he was, but nobody's ever seen the guy.
So during the interview, it was Detective Cadner, Detective Try, you and your daughter, and then the lawyers in another room, like watching it or listening in, something like that.
Yes.
Okay. So
And
what did you detail in that 2-hour interview?
What had happened at the bar.
Okay.
And her propensity to make false claims against people. She had previous false sexual assault claims against 3 different people, ruining at least 2 of their lives. And then I had my issue with like the derogatory comments against me in the Facebook posts, and of course her discussing at the bar how she helped facilitate these lies against my friend.
Okay. So after that interview, what did the detectives do after that? Because you weren't under arrest, right?
No, I wasn't under arrest. I went to the bathroom after the interview, and when I came out, they notified me that they were going to be confiscating my phone.
just like that?
So I want to point out that this is not the same phone that I had when my friend's alleged crimes had been, like, since when someone said that his alleged crimes had happened.
Right. So like
So
2018,
I would not
2019, you had a different phone.
Right. Actually, it was like July of the year after that I had got a new phone, a completely new phone. And I don't transfer any of my information from my old phones to my new phones. Most of the time, my phones are broken enough where that's not a thing. And so that old phone was actually turned in for insurance purposes.
So bathrooms,
So
they
asked for your phone after you went to the bathroom. Did you give it to them?
No, they didn't ask. They demanded to have it. And I said, no, you need a warrant. I'm not just going to give you my phone. And they insisted that they were going to arrest me if I didn't give them my phone. And I said, again, you don't even have a warrant. And they said, it's pending an applicational warrant. Because they intended to apply for one, they felt they could then confiscate my property then without a warrant.
So they didn't even apply for it yet. They were saying they will be applying for a search warrant.
Well, these guys do this all the time.
Yes, and then the district attorney had said, and that's what they said, they do it all the time. So the district attorney had said, we believe there's evidence in there for I almost said his name, for your friend's case, is what she said. And I said, why would you think that? And so they didn't have any reasons. They didn't give me any reasons why they were taking it other than they thought there was evidence in there. No reason to think there was evidence.
So what did they say what did they say they were taking it under? What statute?
Yeah, like what sort of evidence did they think they would find?
They didn't say. They just said it was an exigent circumstance that if there was evidence in it, that they didn't want it to disappear. And Well, I mean, they testified later on at a later date that they found nothing in that entire phone.
So for those exigent circumstances, like that's if someone's in like immediate threat, right?
Immediate threat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like let's say, you see those videos on YouTube of, um, people busting down doors because they hear kids being like harmed on the other side or something like that. That's an
Yeah.
exigent circumstance.
Or imminent danger. So there's no there's no imminent danger. Were you gonna go? What were you gonna do? Go out and commit a crime or something? I mean, is that what they were thinking?
Enron was like burning all their papers, and
Right.
that kind of stuff. That's exigent. Either someone is actively wanting to delete evidence of their own crime.
You weren't. They never said that you were under suspicion of a crime, though.
No.
Right? Okay.
Nope.
And so they have no articulated suspicion at all, other than you're just coming forward. I'm just going to recap, and you're giving them information out of the kindness of your heart, or whatever that is, and then they turn the tables and demand your phone with what the heck? Okay. All right. That's not good.
So yeah, they demanded it, or you would have gotten arrested, and then they probably would have just taken it at that point. So did you end up giving it to them based off of not wanting to be arrested, or
but
did
not
you?
because I wanted to. I felt under duress.
Okay.
I know that I wouldn't have been able to do anything while being in jail, and I believe that they exercised their authority and they would have exercised their authority to put me in jail and take it anyway. And so I said, okay, I don't want to give them this. I don't think they have a right to this, but do I have to physically hand over this phone so I don't get arrested and I don't get put away? That's what I ended up doing.
Wow.
And so after that, we left, and I told my daughter, I said, we have to go get a phone. We have to go back there, and because I don't believe, even though we were under cameras, I don't believe that we have evidence protecting ourselves. So we did go get another phone. I think it was like her boyfriend's phone at the time, and she was no longer dating my friend's ex's son. It was a different boyfriend. But we came back and we asked the two detectives that we wanted our phone back, that they didn't have the right to take it. We looked up what exigency means. It did not fit that description. And they insisted that no, they do this all the time. They're not giving it back, and that yes, they would have arrested me had I tried to walk out without letting them have my phone. So we had gotten that on recording.
Right. Oh, okay.
And they're officers of the law, and it is legal to record officers of the law, especially when they're operating under the guise of the law.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you were essentially like in a public place at that point, right? Like you were at
and the sheriff's department. I mean, it's
You're in
obvious they're at work.
You were in the sheriff's department when you recorded that and went back in?
Yes, the lobby part of it.
Mhm.
There's like a hallway where the public can access it.
Right. Okay.
So they decided not to give the phone back. You got that stuff on recording. What happened after that? Because you didn't have your phone back, right?
No, I didn't get my phone back. After that, I went to work. I was late for work that day. That interview had taken way longer than I thought it would. And of course, going and getting the phone and then going back up to the sheriff's department to get that recording had taken extra time. I got to work late that day. When I got to work, I realized I couldn't get into much of any of my emails without this two-step verification, which I needed to get a text message for. So I worked as a mechanic at the time, and I would email my service advisor a very thorough technician story, and they could just copy and paste it into whatever program they have for service advisors. And I couldn't access this stuff. I couldn't basically do my job without my phone, and that sounds really stupid, that the whole world has become so reliant on phones that it came to that. So I had left work at the end of the day, and I went to Verizon to get another phone. And I kept my same number.
Okay. Wow. All right. And then so you have all of this information on there. Did you tell them you had information that was sensitive to my job and my work, and I need to be able to
I did. I even
move through this so I can.
I even had attorney-client privileged information in my phone that I needed to access.
Oh,
So they allowed me to get some phone numbers, but I realized I didn't have anyone's email addresses. And that's mainly how I had been able to communicate with my past attorneys. I don't have their personal phone numbers, and most attorneys don't give out their personal phone numbers. So I couldn't get online in order to look up where they were or what their office numbers were. I mean, it was hard. I do all my bill pay through my phones. There was personal content on there, like personal pictures of myself too, that I didn't want shared. And
sure.
I was not very trusting of what they were going to do with the information that's in my phone. Now, they did, through my case, end up disseminating information from my phone to third parties who were not involved with my friend's case or my case.
And what was that?
And these were
who were these third parties?
My current employer at the time, and some past employers, my friend's ex.
Your friend's
and her
ex?
family. Mm-hmm.
Why did they need to see it?
Yeah, why would they need to see
didn't.
that?
They didn't. So the detectives verbally shared content that may or may not have been in my phone, and I don't believe that when they shared what was in my phone, they were exactly being truthful at all. I felt like they twisted it to make it sound like there was actually something menacing in my phone, and there wasn't. But they did share. I have a court-ordered confidential civil case that had been sealed, and they did share that information with my current employer, my past employers, and my friend's ex, her family, the victim's parents.
Verified?
That type of thing.
Like verified? I mean, can you
So
verify this?
who was my current employer at the time, they did put that in writing. After I had left that employer, I had filed, I think it was like an unemployment claim, and who was my service advisor had admitted that the detectives had come in at some point, pulled them aside, and started talking to them about what was in my phone. And so I do have that in writing on something that was filed administratively through the state of Montana.
Really?
Yes.
Ouch. Boy, there's so many things in this that are sideways. That's wrong.
Yeah.
There's got to be confidentiality things, and for sure, I do believe there's probably statute that we have. I mean, privacy here in Montana is really huge.
They definitely did not protect me as a witness, a potential witness, as someone who they would have believed known anything about the case. They didn't protect me as that.
Seems like they were trying to build a character case against you.
Well, and that's what they tried to do. They had gotten into like a past wage claim where I had talked with like a counselor and a cousin and my attorneys about my past wage claims. And they had said, oh, it sounds like once she doesn't like something, she just starts legal problems. And I think that a case where a civil court, had viewed the merits of these cases and had made a decision had nothing to do with my friend's criminal case, and detectives who are not lawyers or a court judge in a civil matter they can't say anything about these past cases. This is completely separate, and it definitely was not investigating my friend's alleged crimes.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah. You think if they'd want to figure out the credibility of your claims, they would be investigating the claims and not investigating you.
Correct.
Okay. So you ended up going to Verizon to try and get a new phone. I'm guessing you got a new phone because it sounds like, I mean, like a lot of people, they need their phones to be able to operate in daily life, which, I mean, I think that's just the world we're in. But so you got a new phone, right?
Yes.
What was happening when you got that phone or afterwards?
So I had purchased the Galaxy S22, which I was not aware at the time. Samsung was aware at the time that they were having security issues with the bloatware that comes into their phone. Didn't know it at the time, but I purchased a Samsung Galaxy S22, and I talked to them about maybe some sort of family plan. My kid was having some runaway teenage issues at the time, and she was smart enough to turn off her location on Snapchat, but she was not smart enough to turn off her location on her entire phone because it's inconvenient. And I wanted to know where I could find my daughter at all times. So they suggested I download Google Find My Device.
Okay. Then so then what happens now? I mean, do they come back and investigate you? Do they what goes on?
Well, during the setup of my phone, we're just setting these accounts up. I haven't even purchased the phone yet. It's not even mine. The bloatware has come in, and we log into Google Find My Device, but like seconds, like 2 seconds after it pops up, it starts sending notifications. And from what I had been able to gather through this whole time, that it was trying to erase my previous device. Why? We don't know. We don't know if it was some sort of like Samsung protection. I don't have like a Samsung account or anything. We don't know if it's something Google automatically does because 2 phones are now registered to the same number. So we weren't sure what was actually happening in that program.
Fair.
That would have been my assumption too, is that if you're trying to use the same number, that it probably wouldn't like that. But I mean, I don't think that, I don't know, but I could be completely wrong. Like, it doesn't seem like, I mean, that seemed like a huge bug in the system if it just like deletes everything but transferring your number over.
But what I believe it is, and I don't have any evidence to prove this, but I did find an article I can share with you about the malware that comes in. It's fileless remote. So it comes in through the bloatware, and it basically steals your personal information during the download of these bloatware items, is what this article says. Samsung knows about it, has known about it for a while. And so anyway, it keeps sending me these notifications, and I'm thinking it is email saying I did not look at the email. Sometimes if you get a phone, your email will be set to notifying you a number of times when you haven't looked at it. And so I thought to myself, I'll just have to look at this when I get home and change the settings when I have time to go through my phone and figure out how to work this phone.
So I mean, this was even like the same day, right? Because you needed a phone.
Is the same day.
Okay.
And so I did find out that the settings were not the issue, and it kept notifying me over and over and over, just randomly, seconds apart, minutes apart. I think one time was like 0.02 seconds, because later on in my case, we had a list of every time this thing sent a notification. Over the course of when I bought my phone in July 28th to September 23rd, I believe it is, I had received hundreds of notifications at random times during the day, times I wasn't even around my phone. In the middle of the night, it would wake me up notifying me with stuff because I don't put my phone on silent because, what if I had to answer an important phone call? Like, what if my kid was in danger somewhere or had snuck out and got in trouble or something? I need to know when my phone rings. And so it just continued to notify me over and over and over again. And I, with what I saw on the screen, it gave me 3 options, and one was erase, but I was not able to select the erase because it was grayed out. So like when you have options that are darker, you can select those, and then the ones that are like grayed out and you can't select those are like mute, but they show as they had been an option at one point or could be an option. So the erase button, the erase selection was always grayed out. It's not like I could have selected it.
Now, I got a question. I think I read something that said that they put it in a what the bags that they seal and the Faraday bags. What
bag.
Faraday.
Yeah, the Faraday. I think didn't it say somewhere that they put that in there? It's like your other phone that they confiscated. They put in a one of those.
Faraday electronic Faraday evidence bag.
Did I read that
it was
right?
It was on airplane mode also, so it could not have connected to internet anyway.
Okay.
And as far as I'm understanding, the Google Find My Device only can contact the phone when it connects to internet. And when they do evidence searches, they do not connect it to internet. That's why
Right.
it was on
They
airplane mode.
Plug it in. Oh, okay. Yeah, weird.
When do you know when they finally got the warrant? So they took your phone on July 28th, you said?
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember the specific date, but I think it was something like a week after.
Okay,
Because
but
it was
still
so exigent.
But still, within that week before they actually had the search warrant, you started getting these notifications that day and all the way up and through when they actually got the search warrant, right?
Yes. Yeah, so all these notifications lasted till September 23rd.
When did you get a copy of the search warrant?
It was after I had already been charged. It was like months later.
Charged
6 months.
Charged with what?
Charged with 25 felonies for tampering with evidence.
You got charged
so
with
they
25.
showed up.
Wow. Okay, go ahead.
Felonies.
Okay.
So it was December, maybe the 30th or 31st, but they showed up at my job. They couldn't wait for 1 hour until I was off to arrest me, maybe when I was walking out of the building. They made a scene at my job. Yeah, they made a scene at my job with my manager. My manager asked me to come to the back conference room, and I did. And I walked in, and there were Detective Katherine and Detective Try. Detective Try had a warrant, and he made sure to say, and I'm sure this was purposeful, "Oh, I didn't even bring the right copy." And he kind of like dramatically like, "Oh," put it down on the table. But then he handed me the copy, and I saw this number of like felonies listed there. And I almost laughed at it. I was like,
let me see if I can pull it
I remember looking at it.
So how did they, so 25 felony charges for what? For tampering with evidence or obstructing evidence?
Attempted tampering with evidence.
Attempted, okay. So how did they connect that? Like what did you do that made them think that you were trying to tamper? Yeah.
First, let's go back to the original question. When did I receive the search warrants for the phone?
Yeah.
Not only was it after they arrested me, after I spent some time in jail, I waited for my arraignment. I waited for 2 different attorneys to be assigned to my case.
Oh my God.
And then had to get discovery, which came months later. That's when I finally received these warrants. So these warrants were well past a half a year.
This thing just keeps on going. I mean,
I'd have to look at the laws too, because I mean, at least when they are presenting a search warrant at a place that they're like actually searching, like someone's residence, they have to exhibit the warrant then and there to the person that they're searching. So it's strange that they didn't present that to you at any point when they actually got the search warrant.
They tried to disguise it as a sex crime. So under some sort of federal rules, I would have to look at my discovery where they listed that they didn't have to notify me for 180 days. But even after they had completed the search, they didn't notify me. And that is when that should have been done, because they've already accessed all the information that they need without it being deleted or tampered with in any way, or so they claim is their concern. So
unbelievable. Look, did you get, I mean,
yeah,
talk about excessive.
Yeah. How do these different attempted tampering with evidence, like how did they, what evidence did they have to be able to charge you with these 25 felony counts?
We found out this was during a motion to suppress hearing. We found out that they wanted to charge me with 25 counts. If you notice on go to the way top of your document you're showing right now, and the first charge there, it says an amended count. That was also amended count 1 and amended count 2. That was also attempted tamperings originally. So the first 25 were attempted tamperings. These are amended counts. Notice how count 3 is not amended.
Mm-hmm.
So we found out during that hearing, though, by asking Detective Try what they had found in the phone, and both detectives basically said we actually found nothing. Through the whole case, they had gotten like 5 different search warrants, maybe 6. I have to look back. And they had found nothing regarding my friend's case every time, but they kept filing the same reasons why they wanted to look, and none of it had been probable cause. What they stated was they knew I had talked to my friend since his arrest, and they knew that I had talked to his mom.
Okay.
And so that's basically what they were using as probable cause, which is not probable cause because I was not thought to have any specific knowledge, firsthand knowledge of his crimes. I was not thought to have been there. I was not thought to have recorded anything. I didn't know the victims. I didn't know the victims'
were you just
parents.
what were you doing? Were you just encouraging them to fight? I mean, just what were you do? Was that the intent? The intention?
What do you mean?
To contact, stay in contact with mom and the other person here.
Well, I had known my friend's mother before he had even gone to trial. So it makes sense that I would stay in contact with her.
Was she receptive of that help and that kind of talk, or?
I think so.
Yeah. Okay. Because I don't see anything
I know
here
she
for
was...
any other crimes. I mean, it's all tampering, and it's just
so.
And they
during
found nothing.
This hearing,
yeah.
Back to the questions, they said they found nothing except for they wanted to, when asked the question, why did you charge her 25 counts? They said, during those, we decided to charge her 25 counts because when we extrapolated the evidence from one of the warrants, it shows that she was actively using her phone during the times these notifications had been received. So that means they were fully aware that there were hundreds of notifications being sent to my phone where I was not actively using my phone. And if this is happening in the background of your phone, or like, let's say you're texting somebody using an app and they can see that, and then the notification arrives in your phone, this is not something you're doing. This is something that is happening to you.
Right. So all of those notifications that you got for like, I don't know, like a month and a half or so, it was those notifications that they were saying was you trying to like remotely erase data on the phone that they had.
Right. That's what they were trying to say.
But did they ever pinpoint a location from where you were that you were doing this or anything like that? Or attempting to do this under their allegations?
No, I don't think my location had come into play in any way, shape, or form.
Well, these guys got technology to pick a pimple off an ant, and they can probably find one, and I don't think, they have no other evidence to say she was at this time, this place, this house, or this area. This is where it pinged or did something, nothing.
Well, I think it's important to note that if they would have provided such details, it might have incriminated themselves.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So they ended up charging you for 25 felony. So what would have that total been like in terms of jail time if all 25
250
counts?
years.
Wow.
250 years.
And at the end
Yes,
of the day, they didn't find any evidence that they could use to in the case with regarding your
my
friend.
friend. No.
I mean, this is
So they asked for another warrant into something else.
what was the other warrant for?
I think you guys have the documents in front of you. I don't right now.
I'm looking.
They had gotten not only to search my phone. Oh, and then they had gotten into my emails. I had an email called wageandhourclaim@gmail.com. And that is obvious that it is about wage and hour. And I had created a separate email for the wage and hour claim that I had against my previous employer. And so that entire email was nothing but attorney-client privilege. It was obvious. So they went through all of that.
And
So-
still didn't find anything, right?
Still didn't find anything. So then they asked to go through all my Facebook. And they found spats between my friend's ex's mom, even proof that my friend's ex's mother had gone and taken pictures of my house and then posted it on social media so people would know where to find me.
Yeah, here's the Facebook.
That's a crime. That's doxing.
That's
So
no.
the following facts.
Yeah, that's doxing.
Then they had filed a trap and trace order, just like you're showing.
Yeah.
Oh, that's with Facebook.
Yep.
No, that's
Or
with
is that-
the new phone that I had.
Oh,
Trap
okay.
and trace.
Yep.
So this is where they think they had information where I was using my phone at the same time, as they could see when every app had opened and when I had received these notifications.
Detective Jacob Try is a detective with the Cascade County Sheriff's Office. He is currently assigned to. Let's see. So this is his probable cause.
That's the same guy. That's the same guy who had, we've reported recently shot somebody in 89 seconds.
Right.
Right. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay. So you got charged, and it was for largely these notifications that you honestly had no control over. It seems like, it could even be. If we didn't even want to place blame, we could just say that it could really be a technology thing, right? Like you had a phone with the same number, and that could be a good portion of it. So, and they didn't end up finding any evidence in the first place. So, did you go to trial on these 25 counts, or what did you do because they charged you with that?
I ended up taking a plea deal.
Okay. And why did you take the plea deal?
My daughter had a case going on where she was recently found not guilty. It was a very high profile case. Someone tried to kill her in the process. The person who had been trying to kill her had ended up dying themselves. And so she had fought a case where they had her locked up for a year and a month, knowing that the other person had tried to kill her. But she had just gotten out on, it was like maybe the 3rd or 4th week of June of that year. And they had threatened that they would be trying to charge my daughter with a felony relating to my case if I didn't take a plea deal.
What?
Yeah, so after my daughter had sat a year and a month when she was not guilty in jail, this is what they were coming at me with. This is why I had to take a plea deal.
So that suggests that, like, if they wanted you to take the plea deal, that means that they didn't think those 25 charges were going to stick in the first place, right? Like, they were worried about going to trial with that. And then at the end of the day, they decided to use your daughter's case as, and this is why we said that you were under duress earlier when we started this recording, that you made that decision under duress, sounds like.
Correct.
So they blackmailed you?
Basically. And
Extorted you?
yes, and I have proof that this was part of the conversation. I don't have all of their words verbatim, as they word when my defense attorney and the DA messaged each other. They kept it very vague. but I have a copy of the email sent to me from my attorney that forwards that part of the email, or forwards the email from the district attorney saying, no, we're not going to charge her daughter. You know, this is what's going to be in the plea deal. Why bring my daughter's case into discussions in my defense?
Yeah.
If that wasn't the situation. And so, yes, this is what I was told.
So
They
we
were
have
going to be
that in
charging my daughter.
We have this in correspondence because it's your case, and they're saying you got to take this plea, or and your attorneys and them have a record of this.
Yes. And so
Whoa.
the email is
Wow.
date and time stamped. If someone were to go get an actual warrant to do an actual investigation
Yeah.
into this district attorney for blackmail, then that's what they would find. So there is a date and time, and all the responses and all the communique should line up chronologically, and the dates and times should be there.
I mean, it sounds like that. I mean, justice isn't even important. Like, it's
No.
they have some other priorities, and they are willing to. I mean, it sounds like a banana republic court.
It does.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. So, I mean, they didn't investigate my innocence whatsoever. When you do an investigation, you're supposed to be impartial. You're supposed to be unbiased. What they only did was twist the facts to make it look like it was what they wanted their narrative to be. They wanted to make it look like I was guilty. They just did a lot of character defaming. They just talked about me a lot. They even called, remember how I said I was at the bar the night that my friend's ex had told us these things. They even called his crazy ex-wife, who had spent time in the loony bin. First question is, what did Katherine ever do to you? So they weren't actually contacting her to investigate my friend's alleged crimes. They were trying to dig up anything character defamation that they could. And the only things that they actually reported to the court were character defaming things that had nothing to do with my friend's crimes. And so they knowingly put away an innocent man. And then they tried to basically character defame the person that came forward with something that would have shown that, hey, he is really innocent.
It also sounds like the detectives are trying to cover their own behinds in all of this, right? Like if
because they didn't invest.
Go ahead.
Sorry, they didn't investigate his innocence either.
Right.
They continued with this, even though they had the description of someone else.
Right.
And it's like saying, hey, because you know what this alleged victim had described was a tall, fat man with white hair. He was a Caucasian man, and my friend was Native. So we believe that race had played into it as well. And they just don't investigate the innocence. If they can make a charge, they will.
After all of this is just disgusting in all aspects. It really does come down to, here we are again with the Fourth Amendment. We're here with the warrants and the seizures of property and things of that nature.
So had they never been granted these unconstitutional searches into my property, none of this charade would have ever happened.
Right.
And this is the problem where you have judges rubber stamping warrants. The judge that rubber stamped all these warrants was the same judge on my friend's case. And the same judge who she didn't even declare during our the hearing to suppress. She didn't even claim that, yes, it was indeed probable cause. She specifically asked the district attorney, and this is what you're stating as probable cause, and made no claim about whether it was actually probable cause or not, but just made a decision that she was going to let the warrant stand.
Sounds like she was lawyering from the bench. She was practicing law from the bench. That is a no-no.
And I'm sure you'll have more cases where that seems to be the case, because this has kind of been a thing for that judge.
Wow.
And every time I walked in there, I did want to point this out. So I have one of my parents works in the court system in another state. We grew up literally walking into the courthouse almost every day that my mother was at work. As kids, we could just go to see my mother. And so we know to be very respectful. I mean, we weren't even allowed to like speak to or look at the judge unless he acknowledged us first. I'm super respectful in the courtroom. And every time I've been in there, what the judge did was want to start a fight about how to pronounce my last name. And it looks like vegetable soup. It's a Slavic last name, but it's very phonetic. And you just pronounce the J like a Y. And so this is what I tell everyone. And so when she asks, how do you pronounce your name? I respond with, you just pronounce the J like a Y. And it's very phonetic. And before I could even say it correctly for her, she's interrupting me and like yelling at me every time we were in there. During my plea hearing, my change of plea, where I was taking this plea deal, she asks me, she butchers my name again, which I think it's very easy to say. There's a lot of people who can actually say my name. She butchers my name and says, do I get it right? And the other times I've been in there, no matter what I've answered, it hasn't been good enough. So I was just like, took a breath. I didn't know how to respond right away. And then she immediately starts yelling that I've been really disrespectful every time I've been in her court, basically falsifying, creating a false record on the court record, that I was disrespectful every time I've been in there. And we could probably get this on recording too, because they do hold recordings for, yes.
But you can get it from the transcript.
So you could get every single time, every hearing. There wasn't a lot. You could get every single one of them and listen to my responses. My tone of voice is not negative. It's not disrespectful whatsoever.
Well, your demeanor, like throughout this whole conversation, has been rather calm. I mean, we've been talking to some other folks, and like some will get heated, and I mean, I don't necessarily think that's bad, but I mean, just in contrast to other folks that we've talked through, it's a very calm demeanor, and I mean, especially for something like this, which should really anger you. I think that's telling, at least from our perspective.
Didn't they spell your name wrong on a search warrant?
They did. And the search warrant was completed.
I mean, I hate to be technical, but technically it's not you.
Yeah.
If it's misspelled,
That's
technically
correct.
It's not you. And
what they did to remedy that,
I was just curious.
What they did to remedy this
was
after the fact that they acquired all the information, they filed a motion to amend the name on the search warrant.
Oh.
Amend the spelling of the name.
And then rearrest you?
No, they didn't rearrest me. They still maintained all the evidence and search from whatever they had already gathered.
I'd be like, yo, you need to rearrest me because that was not me.
Yeah, give those Miranda rights. So what? And I think this will be one of the last questions before we start to wrap up here. But what was your lawyer doing throughout all of this? Like, what was his or her suggestions to you? Do you think he was providing value in trying to defend you in this case?
I had 2 public pretenders assigned to my case before I purchased a private attorney. The first private attorney, I had asked, do you have any conflicts with the public pretender's office? He said no. Well, apparently, he works for the public pretender's office and he contracts things through the public pretender's office.
Oops.
And so I felt like when I found that out, I was very untrusting, and I do want to point out, he refused to acknowledge the fact that in the discovery that we received, the district attorney and the detectives had caught themselves on recording, scheming on how to lie to the court to get these warrants, acknowledging that they did not believe that I knew anything about my friend's crime. And I said, look, you have an ethical obligation to report this to the court. And both of my private paid attorneys refused.
You have evidence of them trying to scheme through, she doesn't know anything.
Yes. And they were also during these recordings, trying to come up with other charges. What to charge Katherine with during the interview, the initial interview that we did, this 2-hour-long interview. They were caught themselves on recording saying, "Oh, what about it's not like blackmail or something," but they were like, "Oh no, we couldn't do that because it requires that she receive a payout and stuff." And through the discovery that was submitted in my friend's case from whatever they looked through and my case, we found out that not only was everything I telling them the truth, but that we found yet another scheme of my friend's ex to try to get my kid to make allegations of abuse against me so that she could get paid for fostering and have a daughter, is exactly what they said. It was in text message. This was the text messages they had got off of her old phone.
We have
So why
that in
don't you
dis- do you
think
have that in
your
discovery?
lawyers? Go ahead.
Sorry, do you have that in discovery?
It would be in my friend's discovery.
What
So
the
I do have a
hell?
copy of it somewhere, so I can probably get that to you guys.
Okay.
Hmm.
So why do you think that your lawyers didn't want to pursue the ethics issues that came up?
The first one said that he would rather defend me based on the merit of my case than make an allegation that could prolong the case. So I think it was more of like a convenience thing. The second private paid attorney just flat out pretended he couldn't hear it. Like, we literally played it loud as clear in his office. And I'm pointing out, look, this is what they said. The other attorney isn't lying with us. So we'll just say he's doing his due diligence and he'll let the investigation continue. And we could hear that loud as day. Well, I have hearing loss from like having been in the military. I can't hear that. If I could hear it, we would have to be able to make the jury hear it. And what if their equipment in court wasn't working that day? Or what if we couldn't play it loud enough? You know, every excuse under the book of how it wasn't ever going to get to a jury. They could file a motion in limine to have this part, you know, not brought into court. And it was just going to be granted because, well, anything beneficial to me was not being granted. Anything very harmful to me was just being granted like that.
Yeah.
So,
Wow. Yeah, and this, I mean, maybe not complicated, but a very complex case with all of the different elements that are there. But I mean, just to kind of summarize, I think some of those main issues are that unconstitutional seizure of your phone, right? Like, I mean, that kind of if that wasn't done, who knows if any of this would have happened. The prosecutorial overcharging, like those 25 felony counts, especially for notifications that, I mean, it's clear that you weren't involved or trying to do anything with that. But then also just as Kevin said, yeah, conspiracy blackmailing as well. Yeah.
There is a federal statute, the conspiracy to violate one's constitutional rights under color of law. And it's like, I think it's like 18-243.
Yeah.
In federal law. And that's exactly what they did. And this is why it's illegal.
Right.
You know, I lost over $100,000 worth of assets and income because of them. It was hard for me to get a job with 26 felonies hanging over my head.
Yeah.
In the 2 years that I was waiting.
Yeah, 2 years. Wow.
2 years.
That's crazy.
You have to eat within that time. I had to get food from churches because
Well, and did you still have was your daughter living with you during those 2 years too?
No, she was incarcerated for at least a year and a month of that.
Okay. But still, I mean, I imagine you wanted to be able to help her and you were unable to, right?
Right. And they didn't allow me to speak to my daughter through my entire case. So you can imagine, as a mom, as a parent who really cares about their kid,
yeah,
you know,
hard.
and the misdirection that I felt my kid was stepping in at the time, that the courts had really tied my hands.
Yeah. Well, Katherine, thank you for coming on and telling your story. Is there anything that you'd like to share as we end this that you weren't able to bring up or say, or anything that you just want the community to know?
Yeah, I want people to know that you definitely can make a change. Start talking to your lawmakers about actually holding the court accountable. Right now, as it stands, the court is immune to everything. But we as a people, we own the courts. You can you can make it so that they are not allowed to get away with this stuff. It has to start somewhere. You as an individual might not be able to do anything, but everyone as a whole, everyone who's worried that this might ever happen to their sons and their daughters or their grandkids or their dads, their moms, their grandparents, their loved ones, it doesn't matter if you're related or not. You can definitely make a difference. And standing up for what is right is supposed to be the first step to this. Legislation, you can make laws that hold your district attorneys and your lying detectives accountable.
Yeah, it's a
Yep.
government of the people. We are the people, and that means that we are the ones who vest that power. Well, again, thank you, Catherine. Just as we close, I think it's important, especially after those last couple of sentiments. I think what happened to you, Catherine, is, I mean, it isn't just a personal story. It's truly a warning about what happens when the system is more interested in convictions than the truth.
Yes.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
Terrible. Thank you again for coming on.
Yeah. So, we're going to continue to follow Catherine's case, especially in potentially getting this into the cascade effect and doing more of an investigation of all the documents that Catherine has been able to provide us. But for those watching this, if you have a story or a tip, please reach out to Kevin and I. We are really starting to get into or respond to folks who've reached out to us because we really want to share their stories. There's a lot of folks like the Mike Hansen's family, like Katherine here, who have stories about their experiences with law enforcement, the court systems here in Cascade County, and we really need to highlight those. So, and if you believe in what we're doing here, please share this episode, share this video, help us build a community that truly demands accountability, because it's clear that our justice system isn't being able to provide that. So hopefully we can do that through the court of public opinion. So thank you everyone for tuning. Oh yeah, go ahead.
I do have a question. Where can I find the Undercurrent so I can watch more of your episodes?
Yeah, we are going to put these on YouTube. We have a YouTube, we have a Facebook, and we also have a TikTok. That's where we have maybe one or two things that Kevin and I did little podcasts on before, just sort of playing this out and seeing what this is like. But that's where we're going to be posting regularly on all those social media, and we'll start sharing those links out as we get more used to this process. Kevin and I are learning.
It's
Okay.
a learning curve, right? Like Tony
Yeah.
said, we have a couple episodes out there that we're just tinkering with and just trying to get our feet wet. And the response has been overwhelming from the Cascade Effect. And
Yeah.
we're going to continue to try to, fight for justice and the right directions that need to be had here. And that's legislative and otherwise. Yes.
Yep.
Well, thank you
So,
very much.
thank you, everyone.
This is the Undercurrent. We'll see you guys later.